Welcome back to the channel. Tonight, we journey into the heart of darkness, to a place where shadows have a life of their own. The abandoned Sawanpracharak Hospital in Thailand. For a group of paranormal investigators, what began as a quest for proof would soon become a desperate fight for survival. The darkness inside the old hospital wasn't just the absence of light. It was a living, breathing entity, damp, viscous, and carrying a strange scent. A mix of fading antiseptic, the dust of ages, and something else. Something sweet and rotting. Pong led the way, his professional camera feeling less like a tool and more like a fragile shield against the oppressive atmosphere. His flashlight cut through the gloom, revealing stained corridors and rusted iron beds scattered like the bones of some colossal, long-dead creature. Ploy followed close behind, her breath catching in her throat, her eyes wide with a fear she couldn't yet name. They had barely begun when the first sound echoed from the end of the corridor. Clack, clack. A steady, slow, unhurried rhythm, like wheels rolling over broken tiles. It stopped as suddenly as it began, leaving a silence that was somehow even more terrifying. In Tat Boyd, a phone shattered the quiet. It was Note's phone, their friend, who had gone to explore another area with May. Pong answered, his own heart hammering against his ribs. All he heard was ragged, panicked breathing. Then a shrill, broken voice clawed its way through the static. "Don't let him find me." The words dissolved into a pitiful scream, and the line went dead. Panic erupted. They had to find Note and May. They raced up the stairs to the second floor, their footsteps echoing a frantic beat. The corridor above was a tunnel of absolute black, the doors to the old hospital rooms gaping open like hungry mouths. But Note and May were nowhere to be seen. And then they heard it again. Clack, clack. But this time, it was coming from right behind them. They spun around, Pong swinging the flashlight in a wide arc. The beam landed on a figure, a tall, lanky shadow wearing a yellowed white lab coat. Its face, it had no skin. It was a raw, red slab of flesh, dominated by pale, vacant eyes and a mouth stretched grotesquely wide. A permanent, horrifying grin pulled ear to ear. It was pushing a hospital gurney. On the gurney lay a form, completely covered by a white cloth, stained with dark, irregular blotches. Ploy's scream tore through the silence. Instinct took over. They ran, blindly diving into the first room they could find, a place-marked medical records archive. They slammed the heavy door shut, and Pong threw his weight against it, his heart pounding like a drum solo of pure terror. Outside, the clacking of the wheels grew louder, closer, until it stopped right at their door. Knock, knock, knock. 3 slow, deliberate, mocking knocks. Then, silence. The sound of the wheels faded away into the hospital's depths. Catching their breath, they scanned the archive room with their flashlights. What they saw turned their blood to ice. Huddled in the far corner were Note and May. They were sitting against the wall, their eyes rolled back into their heads, mouths agape in a final, silent scream of horror. Deep bruises, shaped like unnaturally long fingers, were imprinted on each of their necks, and clutched in Note's lifeless hand was a portrait of a doctor. The doctor's originally cheerful smile had been defaced with a brownish red liquid, smeared and twisted into the same grotesque grin as the creature in the hallway. As if on cue, from the darkest corner of the room, an old film camera whirred to life on its own. Its small screen flickered, projecting distorted, black and white footage. It showed a doctor, his face hidden in shadow, injecting a dark liquid into a struggling patient. The scene shifted. 2 horrific surgeries, performed with strange, archaic instruments. Then, the image on the tiny screen switched to real-time footage. It was showing them, right there, in that very room, captured by the haunted camera. Suddenly, a familiar sound cut through the air. Ring, ring, ring. It was Pong's phone. The screen displayed an incoming call from Note. With a shaking hand, Pong answered. A hoarse, cold voice whispered from the speaker. a voice that echoed not just from the phone, but also from the old camera across the room. "Hello, patient? The surgery is about to begin." Before they could react, the door to the archive was blasted open, ripped clean from its hinges. The monstrous shadow of the twisted doctor filled the doorway, its pale eyes fixing on them. Ploy let out one last, strangled cry before her eyes rolled back, and she collapsed. Pong stumbled backward, trying to scramble away, but it was too late. A gloved hand, impossibly strong, seized him. He felt a sharp, freezing sting in his neck as a syringe pierced his skin. A creeping numbness spread through his body. His consciousness began to fade, but his mind remained horribly, painfully aware of everything. He felt himself being lifted, then placed onto the cold, hard surface of the gurney. The filthy, stained white cloth was thrown over him, plunging him into a suffocating darkness. And then came that sound. Clack, clack. The wheels began to roll. A sound that was no longer just a warning, but a guide, leading him into the very depths of fear. The gurney moved through the endless, dark corridors, and now he could hear them, the groans, the sobs, the whispered curses echoing from every corner. This hospital was far from empty. It was packed to the brim with trapped, tormented souls. The journey ended. The gurney stopped. Pong felt himself being transferred onto a hard, icy surface. The operating table, the cloth was ripped away. A dim, swinging surgical light blinded him. Looming over him was the doctor, its skinless face a mask of insanity, a rusty scalpel held ready in its hand. "Time for a physical examination," the hoarse voice rasped. In what he knew were his final moments, Pong's eyes darted to the floor. His camera lay there, its small red recording light still glowing. It was still capturing everything, whatever horror was about to befall him. The final images of this twisted doctor and this unholy operating room would be transmitted. His story wouldn't end with his death. It would become a new haunting, living forever in the digital darkness, waiting for the next curious souls to press play. And somewhere, deep in the decaying halls of Sawanpracharak Hospital, a phone began to ring again. Ring, 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 ring. A new summons echoing in the dark. The doctor's work is never truly finished. Thank you for joining me on this terrifying journey. If you enjoy exploring the darkness, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until next time, stay safe, and be careful what doors you open.